Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Jimmy and I'm Vince. Again, we're couch coaching. We're going to talk about the Houston Texans and their weeks 1 through 4 matchups, and we're going to try to predict their records for those matchups. Through the preseason, through their first 3 preseason games, the Texans are actually 2-1. They looked very good in their last preseason game against the New Orleans Saints. And we're going to touch on again how we feel they'll end up with their record after coming into week 4 or after week 4. Their week 4 matchup will be up against the Miami Dolphins, and Jimmy's going to tell you what the Texans' stats were as far as the offense and defense.
All right, for the Houston Texans,
total
yards. Thank you. Houston Texans for last year on their offensive yards, they averaged 321. Rushing yards, they averaged 125.3. Passing yards, they averaged 195.7. And their points for last year averaged 24.3. On their defense comparisons, on last year, they averaged 276 per game. Giving up on rushing yards, they've given up 110. And passing yards 166, and points 18.7. Now, the big deal about week 1 is going to be the Miami Dolphins. I honestly think Houston Texans are a better team than Miami. I do.
They're a much better team than Miami.
Here's
the thing. The only player that the Miami Dolphins even have worth talking about on their roster is Reggie Bush. And I'm talking about offensively. Cameron Wake is a beast, but offensively, the only player that they have worth talking about, nothing against Tannehill, Gigamags, but...
I know you just didn't do that. Really?
Gigamags? But I'm sorry, it's an inside joke. But I think that the Texans this will be a straight walkover. This is the NFL, that's why you play the game, but I think the Texans will have no problem. Look, they got the best running back in the game right now in Arian Foster. And then the Ben Tate is no slouch himself. The only problem I could see, going into this game for the Texans is the health of Andre Johnson. If Andre can stay healthy, not just this week, but throughout the entire season, which you see my cohort is shaking his head.
No.
That is not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's
Okay.
not going to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen. It's just not. The big deal that I have that could actually change his whole perspective is going to be Matt Schaub. Matt Schaub is coming off that ankle surgery that he had.
That Liz Frank, right? He had
Yeah.
a Liz Frank injury.
So, we've seen him throughout the preseason. He looks good.
Right.
But see, when you actually get into those game situations, a 2-minute drill, you actually got to go down the field. You got to throw a lot. So I mean, it's going to be that kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
If Matt Schaub can stay healthy, if Andre Johnson isn't, I'm okay with everybody else who's around him.
Right.
Taking care of what they got to.
Exactly.
I think Arian Foster is a beast, and I'm not just saying that because I drafted him week 1
in our fantasy football.
Fantasy football, I got him. Yeah, yay for me. And people who watch this show regularly knows that I'm not a Texans fan. I'm a strict Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but I got to give props where they're due. I think the Texans are going to be 1-0.
Yeah, this is easy. I don't see this being a problem. Miami's in straight rebuild mode. And I don't think this will be a problem with them. I think that they'll easily win this first matchup against the Miami Dolphins. The second week matchup is going to.
Do we even need to talk about this one?
Look.
Do we really?
The second week matchup will be against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And again, look, the AFC South, most of the teams are in rebuild mode. So I don't feel like they should have a problem with their first 2 matchups. I feel like Jacksonville, although Jacksonville has talent, and depending on what happened with Maurice Jones-Drew.
What talent?
They have Blackman. Toby Gerhart has been very good in the preseason. Yes, it's preseason, Yes, it's going to be different once live bullets are going. But, he's been very good. But, again, the Texans should have no problem against Jacksonville. I think they'll be 2-0.
I agree. I strongly agree that Texans should be 2-0. And we're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars here.
Right.
They have really not been irrelevant at all.
Right.
And now with MJD just holding out, he'll probably come back. But just like Chris Johnson last year for the Titans, he held out, came back, and what did he do? He did not look like himself.
Exactly.
And so you're under new management and everything else.
New ownership. Right.
This is going to be just a strict another practice game for them, because I honestly feel that they'll just easily take this.
Right.
But again, you play the game. But I mean, this is actually the same team who beat Baltimore Ravens last year.
Exactly.
They did. They beat them Baltimore Ravens and held them to just strictly field goals.
With Jones Drew being in camp the entire time, so anything can happen. And I think I said Toby Gerhart. I meant Blaine Garrett. Sorry. But I think we both agree that the Texans will be 2-0 after week 2. Now here comes the intriguing matchup. Week 3 against the Denver Broncos.
Where are they playing at?
They will be in Denver at Mile High, Invesco Mile High Stadium, I might add, and with Peyton
Manning.
All hail Manning.
That's it. That's it.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. By week 3, I think the Denver's offense is going to be about as good as it's going to be going into the season, going forward. This matchup, I'm going to tell you something. If they can get by this team, because, week 4, now I know I'm jumping ahead, but week 4 they'll be against Tennessee. Three divisional matchups, but in the first 4 weeks of the season. 2 divisional matchups. I'm sorry, 2, thank you. 2 divisional matchups within the first 3 weeks of the season, 4 weeks of the season. If they can get by Denver, they could easily be 4-0. And I feel like that they will win this game also in Denver.
No.
And you tell me why not.
I'll tell you why. Who is the one person that they've always had a problem with?
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
Right.
Who is the one quarterback that I don't care anybody out there will tell you they would rather have on their squad? Peyton Manning.
Right.
That's the reason why Denver picked up Peyton Manning.
Right.
Peyton Manning has got talent all around him.
Right.
They got talent in the backfield, which even when he was in Indianapolis, really wasn't all that there.
Right.
Wasn't all there.
After a guy got older and
right.
James
so now
left.
you've got some talent in the backfield.
Right.
He brought over Jacob Tamme from Indianapolis, who knows Peyton Manning's offense.
Right.
You've got 2 wonderful wide receivers, Decker and
There's more.
And more. And the Denver defense has just turned everything around, even from last year. They've looked really great in the preseason. I honestly think that being in Mile High Stadium, which I believe Texans have not played in.
I think they've played there before. Yeah, they played there before, but not this new regime, but not with the new defensive coordinator, not with Wade Phillips being there. Yeah.
So Mile High Stadium is a lot different than anywhere else you'll play.
Right.
That it's an open stadium. It's an open stadium. It's altitude. It's just strictly just. I mean, let's go back to last year with Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark couldn't even play because the last time he played in Mile High, he almost lost his life playing.
Right.
Because the air is so much thinner.
And Ryan Clark plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers safety.
So, I honestly think this game, Peyton Manning can win. And I say that because he'll be the only one who will be able to win this game. It's going to have to come by, because you're not going to be able to run the ball on the Houston's defense. Right. But you will be able to throw it.
But the key, I think the one thing that you did mention is also going to be one thing that stands mentioning. Jacob Tamme knows the offense, but who else knows the offense?
That's a good question.
Like he does. You got what I'm saying?
That's a good question. Right. But I mean, if you go back and look at the preseason for the Denver, I mean, give me just 1 second and I'll tell you. I mean, they are actually 3-0.
Right.
3-0 right now in the preseason.
Right.
Their first one against Chicago blew them out 31-3.
Well, they're 2-0. They're playing.
They're playing San Francisco.
As we're recording it, they're playing San Francisco right now.
So you look at I'm
2-1.
sorry.
They're 1-1.
Yeah, and they lost to Seattle.
Yeah.
But
Preseason
again.
Today's game is the one that counts the most. Most of us that watch football understand that the week 3 matchup is usually when your starters play the most minutes. So, I feel like I think what the main problem is going to be with this matchup for Denver against the Houston Texans is the fact that Peyton can't walk up to the line of scrimmage and look over here and say, "Hey, check with me, red, or whatever color he does for these wide receivers to run these different routes." He can't do that here like he did in Indianapolis because those guys, they were brought up in that offense.
Right. Well,
these guys are learning this whole new offense all over. So,
but see, Peyton Manning's a veteran, and he'll know how to accommodate
what he can and can't do with these guys. Right.
So he'll be able to say, okay, red, whatever, and he'll know
right.
that this means this.
Right.
So even though the Texans are familiar with Peyton Manning's old offense,
right,
that's not going to be the same thing. Right. So everything they've seen with him isn't going to be the same.
Right.
I think that Denver can easily walk away with this.
So he's going with the Denver Broncos in the Week 3 matchup. I'm still going with the Texans.
I'm thinking they'll be 2-1.
Yeah, he's thinking the 2-1. I'm thinking they'll be 3-0. And then going into the Tennessee matchup, this is the one that scares me even more than that Week 3 because I think they'll be up for Peyton. But if they go into this game 3-0, there might be a little letdown. And I'm going to say that they'll win this Week 4 matchup against Tennessee.
We really got
barely,
high hopes.
But barely. Look, hey man, this is a 16-game season.
I understand.
So we're just talking about the first 4 weeks. The matchup against Miami, cakewalk.
Yeah.
Jacksonville should be a cakewalk. They should be able to beat Tennessee. The only team I feel like they may have a problem with will be the Denver Broncos. But again, when you're playing divisional matchups, you just never know what happens because the teams know each other so well.
There's one thing that Tennessee's got to do if they want to beat the Houston Texans. Because I honestly feel that if they do this, that they should be able to beat. They got to get Chris Johnson back to where he was 2 years ago.
And he's been looking good through the preseason.
So if you get Chris Johnson back to where he used to be,
right,
and with Jake Locker throwing the ball like he's been throwing the ball,
right,
I honestly think being a divisional matchup, Tennessee should win this one.
And it's a possibility, but it's a lot of things that's got to fall right. It is a home game for the Texans, and Kenny Britt may or may not be there. We don't know. The NFL is still deliberating on what they're going to do as far as his punishment because he had another arrest over the offseason. So we don't even know if he's going to be a viable target for Jake Locker. So again, I feel like they'll be 4-1, possibly 3-1 by this Week 4 matchup, and after the Week 4 matchup, and Jimmy is saying they'll be
2-2.
2-2. So I have the Texans at 4-0. Jimmy has them at 2-2.
We'll see.
And we will see. After this Week 4 matchup, we'll see what happens going forward. But again, thanks for coming by and checking us out. We enjoy putting it on for you.
Check us out at Couch Coaching 12 at Facebook.
Yes, sir. Couch Coach 12 at Facebook, and please leave your comments here at the bottom too. If you do like it, if there's something that you would like to see, or any information that you might want to know about your team that we're talking about, the Houston Texans or any other team, just give us a comment. Either like you said at the Facebook page or down here in the YouTube comments as well.
Agree to disagree.
Thanks for coming out, and y'all have a good one.